Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the 38th Documentary Film Festival here in Munich. Welcome here at the University for Film and Television. You have just seen in our section Best of Fests, 7 Winters in Tehran by Steffi Niederzoll. I'm happy to introduce you now to the director of the film. Please welcome with a very warm applause, Steffi Niederzoll.
In die Mitte? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Welcome here in Munich. We are recording this Q&A after our screening here, and therefore the talk will be in English. I will start up front with a couple of questions, and then you are invited to add your comments and questions. Please raise your hand, and I will repeat the question here up front, so the audience will not be shown in the recording. It's just the two of us here on the stage. And if you would rather ask your question in German, it's also possible to translate it into English. So that should be easy and no problem. Thank you so much for this very sad, emotional, sometimes distressing, but very, very important film, 7 Winters in Tehran, about the story of Reyhaneh, who was attacked with attempt of murder and then stabbed her attacker and was sentenced to death and finally executed after 7 Winters in Tehran. That's the title of the film. We meet the protagonist, her mother, Sholeh. And my first question is, how did you learn about the story of Reyhaneh and how did you meet Sholeh Pakrawan?
Yeah, actually, in 2014, when Reyhaneh was still alive and there was all this media about her very close execution, I read about this case in the German media, but unfortunately it's like I read it, I felt very touched and I continued my life. So 2 years later, over my Iranian partner, I got to know family members of Reyhaneh in Istanbul in Turkey. And they just left Iran and they had the secretly shot footage, what you just right now saw with them. And we start to become friends. And of course, I had a lot of questions. I immediately remembered this case. And in one moment, they asked me if I want to make a movie with this material. And actually, I was not sure if I can do that. I'm German, I don't speak Persian. I never was in Iran. Also later, I never went to Iran because my partner, also if he's Iranian, he cannot go to his home country. So yeah, I could not say yes immediately. So I asked them if I can take this material and bring it back to Germany to translate it, to understand what I have, if I can do a movie about with this material. And on this particular day, I met Sholeh in Istanbul because 2 weeks before she had also to leave Iran. And it was, yeah, a very magic moment for me to meet her because I felt so close to her because of this material. I don't know how you feel, but I felt so close, especially about the shot in the car. And yeah, and I was a total stranger for her. So it was a bit bumpy in the beginning. So. And I told her exactly this, that I feel so close to her. And then she looked at me and then she smiled and then she hugged me. And something happened in this moment. So I decided I have to do this movie. I really want to do this movie. And for her, it was so clear that I'm the director of this movie. So somehow I always, in retrospective, I think, so 2 women just met. And yeah, then 5 years journey started.
Sholeh and her 2 daughters are now living in Germany, in Berlin. How's she doing right now?
Yeah, actually, I just spoke with her just two hours before, and she's doing right. She's just working on a new sculpture because actually she started to carve sculptures, women, mothers who all lost their children. So this is one of her ways to cope with what happened to her. So she works on a new sculpture because, as you might know, so many people in Iran are right now waiting for their executions, or they were executed. We have such a high number, over 200. I think the number is 209 execution this year already in Iran. So yeah, she starts to carve these figures of the mothers who lost children over execution.
Maybe something that's not so known because it isn't really addressed in the film is she is an artist. She's an actress and puppeteer, and so the sculpture is like in this vein of artistry as her expression. Or
yeah, she studied puppeteer. She started directing for puppets, and she then she started to be an actress. So actually, she was a theater actress, and also was the head of a cultural house in Tehran. And with these figures, it really comes from she makes some trauma work, you know, and they had this art therapy, and they start to carve, and she really and of course it sounds super sad, and it is sad, but it's also for her, it's really, you know, because for her, this woman and these mothers are very strong, you know. It's not so, of course, they carry this heavy weight, but she don't sees them just as weak women. She sees them as very strong women, and because of this, perhaps it's yeah. So she has this kind of, she calls them the soldiers of justice, because this woman, all these mothers, they speak up and they fight like Schule fights against despotity.
There's not only the film, there's also a book that came out recently.
Yeah, you have it in your hand.
So just for the short break. I don't know for what reason, but Berlin Verlag didn't address it as the book to the film, so it has a different title as the film. And you're mentioned as the co-author of the book. Can you tell us about this collaboration as well?
Yeah, actually, we had a lot of material, really a lot of material. So my first rough cut was 8 hours. And yeah, I had a lot of material, but also a lot of, Rihanna wrote so much letters and diaries while her prison time. And Schole always had this wish of writing a book. And I tried to help her. And then we found a publisher, and they just asked if I want to collaborate, because we worked already so close on the documentary. And of course, it's not so easy if you write about your own life. So for Schule, everything is important, every little, and we are speaking about a lot of material. So then it was very natural that I just said, okay, I'm part of it, and we wrote it together. And for me, it's very important, this book also. It was a very beautiful work. And also to give all this material, still it's not all the material in, but to give much more, because the movie has, its limits. I don't know if you would watch 8 hours. My producer said it's not it's not a perfect length for this movie, so I had to shorten it.
I heard that Schole was participating in the world premiere at Berlinale. What was her reaction to the film? And did the sisters, the daughters, Rihanna's sisters, also watch the film? And what did they say?
Yeah, everybody beside Schole knew the last edit, because especially Shahzad, the smallest sister, who was also imprisoned shortly, she worked very close also with me. She made from family side, she made the final improvement, because they had always the right that if there's a content mistake that I have to change it. But Schole didn't watch the last edit, because she watched the version before and she felt very bad afterwards, because, I mean, you can imagine such a traumatic story and then compressed to so little time. So it's she felt very not good at all. And she told, and she spoke with her therapist, and she said, okay, she will watch it just once in her life. And then we decided, okay, she don't watch it the first time at Berlinale, just on the last screening. She also watched it and she really liked it, but she said she will never watch it again because it's just, too heavy for her. But what was extremely beautiful was that on the next day after the premiere, even if she didn't watch it, but she knew it's out. And she always had this idea, Rihanna wrote in her testimony that mommy give me to the wind. And Schule never understood what Rihanna meant with this sentence. And at one moment, while we were working, she said, so, Steffi, now I know. So the book is one wing and the movie will be the other wing. And the book was already out, so one wing was already out. And then so the other wing was out, and on the next day she said, so Steffi, it's the first night I could sleep without sleeping pills. And I was so, wow, okay. And then 2 days later she said, Steffi, I'm living since a year in Berlin, but it's so green, this city. And, I could step by step, I could see how, how she could let this story go, how finally Rihanna's wish in her testimony just was fulfilled, because so all this weight what Schule had was just slowly. Somehow I always think it slowly goes to you, because Rihanna is just flying on the wind now to all the hearts of you, hopefully.
About the film itself, some scenes are shot in Tehran, in Iran. You just mentioned that you have never been to Iran. There are a lot of scenes in the miniature model, that's the set design of all the cell scenes. And you have several interview partners, some of whom I suppose are outside of Iran, but Feridun and maybe others are still inside Iran. Can you tell us a little bit about the work on the film and those different elements of it?
Yeah, so I had this, so one big part was, of course, digging on material. Also, if I had a lot, but the family never shot the scenes for making a movie. This was never their idea. Their idea was that they wanted to show Rihanna when she was coming out, what was totally clear for them, that she will come out, that they can show what they all did. So I had a lot of material, but random and not made for a movie. So I choose this idea with the miniatures because I had this amazing letters from Rihanna, and I really wanted to give Rihanna her own visual, I would say, layer. And I had very early this idea about this empty rooms, and Julia Daschner, who actually also worked on Half-F, and her parents are there. She really loved this idea and supported it very much. And so we developed this idea with the maquettes, and I'm very happy about that. And it was a big, long research on that. Everybody always said, make 3D, then you can do everything. But I wanted that it's handmade, and I wanted that it's. So they, for months, built these maquettes, and it was a long research, what is not so easy, because there's from a lot of places no verified photos. So I spoke with a lot of former prisoners, and some places are very close on reality. Also, of course, in the prison, it's not an empty room. It's so full, stiff with people. And the interviews, so Feridun is the only person who's still in Iran. All the other interview partners are living abroad. And Feridun decided that he wants to speak up. He is fine in this moment.
We have the privilege in the film of actually hearing Rihanna's voice, because there are some audio recordings, but a lot of the material, like the letters, are read by Misa Amir Ebrahimi, a famous Iranian actress who was also living in exile, I think, in France. and you might know her from Holy Spider, the film where she was starring in it. How did you come to collaborate with Zaire Amir Ebrahimi? Did you know her before, or how did it happen?
I know her story before because she is a very close friend also with my ex-Iranian partner. And yeah, I searched because I had parts of Rihanna's voice what is exceptional. I think as a filmmaker, you think, wow. But I didn't want to limit myself just to use what these parts on the letters where I had her voice. So I had the chance to find an actress, an Iranian exile actress. And yeah, we were searching, and very early in the process, he said, but what is with Sa? And yeah, I really liked this idea very much because she has her own story. And after she watched the rough cut, she immediately said yes. I have to say it was before Cannes because she was winning Cannes, because perhaps now we could never have paid her. But yeah, no, it was before Cannes. So she put a lot of effort in it. And yeah, I think for me, it's the best choice that she reads Rihanna. She gives Rihanna her voice, because for me, at least, somehow these two voices merge in my head. Perhaps in the beginning, I hear it's two different voices, but then somehow they become one. And I think they become one because Sa really, she connects totally with this pain Rihanna has. And yeah, so I'm very happy that she said yes.
You mentioned earlier that there have been and are happening a lot of executions in Iran right now, especially this year. And as we're speaking, one German Iranian is sitting with a death penalty and awaiting his execution, Jamshid Jarmaht. And in the film, towards the end, we see like the international relevance. So how important is it to have like international visibility? Is it positive? Can it also be negative? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think especially now with Jamshid Jarmaht is that especially her daughter is reaching very strongly out to politicians, especially in Germany, but also she asked for support and help from us. And I think it's our duty to help and to support. So if you want to support, there's an urgent petition right now at Amnesty. And yeah, I think in the moment, of course, it's always the decision of the families. So if a family in Iran decides to reach out for worldwide support, I think we have to help. So for us, it's not so difficult. So we can sign petitions, we can get informations, we can ask. Sorry, I thought someone has a comment on that. Yeah, ask our governments what they do and how they took action. And I think that's our duty. So it's not so difficult. But for me personally, after I worked on this movie and I got to know this family and got to understand what it really means, and I hope, or this was my wish, to bring this to the audience, that execution is not, they don't execute just one person. This pain stays with mother like Shule, a father like Feridun, siblings like Shahzad and Share, but also with this other family. So it's so cruel, and I don't know, I can't cope with it that we live in the 21st century and still a system like this exists. So I think we should take action. So
your film 7 Winters in Tehran is so rich and offers so many opportunities to talk, but I want to turn to the audience now and ask you, do you have any comments that you would like to share, questions to the director? Just go to the side and just stand up and start speaking.
You asked already so many questions.
There's a question. Yes, please. Go ahead. The question is about the song, so just everybody can hear it. The question is about the song that we hear in the film, whether it was originally sung by Schorle, and to hear a little bit about the context of the song.
Yes, thank you so much. I love this question because I really love this song. It's an old Iranian lullaby. And when I was thinking about which kind of music, I thought that because somehow for me it's also about the mother and the love between the mother and her daughter, the movie, the core of the movie. So then I thought, okay, the essence somehow is a lullaby. So this is what we hear. This is the first music we hear from our parents. And so I asked Schule what kind of lullabies she was singing. And my composer, Flemming Nordkrog, he loved this idea to use this lullaby. And then it went super fast. So I just had one talk with Flemming. He loved this idea. And then I think 1 week later, I recorded with Schule singing and improvising and humming this lullaby. And he, I think, 2 weeks later, recorded with instruments immediately, and I had then I had the music, and we changed just little things, and it stayed in the movie very early in the editing process. So 8 hours.
Are there any other questions? I was wondering, did I miss someone? Yeah, please go ahead. It's on our YouTube channel. If you go to our website, there are the links to all the film talks on the side of the film. So you can find the recording. Usually takes like 1 or 2 days, but then it will be online on our YouTube channel. Any other questions? Yes, please. Have the next to the material, have there been any shots been shot directly in Iran for the film?
Yeah, actually, yes, there were a few after. So after all, I digged and I searched for material from this time, and I got a lot of material also from an independent Iranian collective. So all these white shots of TEHRAN is from this collective, for example. They gave me access to their archive. But still, there were a few shots missing. So, for example, the outside shots of the prison. And they're very dangerous to do. And yeah, I reached out to Iranian filmmakers inside of Iran, and they shot the shots for me. And it was, I think in 2020 they did that, or something like this, or 19 even. So it was before the uprising in Iran. And they did this on an activist level. So they really wanted that Rihanna's voice is heard, and they supported me. So actually on this movie, I never got so much support from other filmmakers than with this movie. So it was amazing how many people really wanted that this movie is made, and they really supported me and helped me. And I could not have done it without a lot of Iranians who are not mentioned. I mean, their names are not mentioned in the movie. So it's just anonymous, but I wanted to give them at least some little trace that at least they know that's me.
I think there's another question. Yeah, please.
I think you have to read the book.
The question was about the 8-hour version. What parts are missing? And yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can answer this question, but it's totally boring for you. I think read the book, because so somehow there, it's of course it's the case is so much more complex. So there were so much more. It was very much more complex, and so also more people were involved in the. I also shot more interviews, and then yeah, in one moment I had to characters were out, but I think I can just recommend you to read the book, because there is a lot of the 8 hours version in.
There's another question. Yeah, right here. How was it possible for Shola and her daughters to leave Iran, was the question.
Yeah, after Rihanna's execution, you can imagine Shule and the whole family was totally destroyed. I mean, they were really destroyed, and Shule was really close to this, that she really didn't want to live. And then one mother reached out on her, and she lost her son while the Green Movement. And over this, and that she starts to speak with other mothers, so there's the connection with these little figures, the sculptures I told you before. She really started to gain more energy and started her fight. So this, what she did is she, inside Iran, started to fight against death penalty, and she did it also while connecting with other mothers. And so she was very often investigated, and in one moment they founded a group, it's called Madarane. And yeah, so her, one of the other members of Madarane was investigated like Schule, and in Schule's investigation, they started to give hints that she should stay quiet, otherwise something would happen to their children. And this was somehow the sign for Schule that she has to take action. And then her, one of the members of Madarane was imprisoned, and Schule very fast went to Turkey. So for going to Turkey, you don't have to need a visa. She went just with the little daughter, that it's not so obvious that they want to leave the country. So father and the middle sister, Share, stayed. And of course, they were investigated, but they could make it very clear that they really want to just make a trip and come back. And they stayed, and it looked very long that Shara and their father could not leave Iran because both of them didn't have a passport, so it was taken from them. Yeah, and then in one moment, Shara had a chance to leave Iran, and the family still hopes that Feridun in one moment gets also a chance.
The story when Sholeh and I think Sharzad left is also part of the book that I can highly recommend, and about the interrogation that they had before leaving, so they missed their plane and stuff like that. Further questions? Yes, please. The question was about distribution and how important it is that the film can be seen in Western countries. And the question was, will it also be possible to see it in Iran?
Yeah, so of course we are working on that. I think it's also part of our duty. We are working on the best way how to do it. And so the movie, at least what I can say, it was the first region what was sold was the Middle East, so-called Middle East region. So so it will come to the region. I was at least already in Istanbul and showed the movie, what was very interesting. And so we are working on it, and we are also working on it that we can show it or we give access to people inside Iran.
There's time for one more question. Yes, please. How was the reception at the Istanbul Festival?
Yeah, actually for me it was very interesting because it was the first country I showed the movie with, where a lot of Islamic or Islam is the religion. And what was super interesting, we hardly spoke about Iran. Actually, we didn't spoke about Iran. We spoke about Turkey, and we spoke about the situation in Turkey for the woman. We spoke a lot about femicide. And I was a bit sad that I didn't have enough knowledge for it. So I was really hoping that someone next to me is who knows better what's right now going on in Turkey. Yeah, so this was very interesting for me that the people, all the audience, they just scanned the movie and just scanned what it has to do with their life. And of course, it's different. But yeah, so that was very interesting for me. And I was a bit sad that I had not enough knowledge. I was quite often in Istanbul, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, there I was lacking.
I cannot miss the chance to
My
point
English is so bad.
To point out that this year DOK.fest has the DOK.guest series on Turkey, and until the 21st of May, you can still watch most of those films in the section DOK.guest Turkey on our digital screens. So take your chances and gain some knowledge about women's rights in Turkey and many other important issues. Also with the view that the election is just coming up this weekend. What are your plans now? Are you continuing working on Iran-related films, or do you want to do something else completely?
That's a good question. Yeah, somehow, of course, I spent now 6 years very close with the family. And yeah, I'm working right now, or I start to work on a project who is also based on that, but it's placed more in Germany. And yeah, but let's see. So it's not spruchreif.
Okay, that's our cliffhanger for this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Steffi Niederholz, for bringing your film.
Thank you.
Don't forget to vote for the Kino Audience Award. On your way out, just drop your ticket or take one of those little pieces of paper that my colleague will have at the box. Thanks for being here and enjoy the last days of DOK.fest and the digital screen as well. Thank you.